right, let's go. Can I host a Rails app from a home server? Clearly. Of course you can, right? You do Rails new, then you do bin Rails server, maybe throw in env production, or maybe you use bin env, and you can see it, right? The whole internet can see it. All right, let's go. So presumably what happens is you go to localhost and you've got your server running. Okay, so this is the only thing the only thing I had time to build. Enter a seed phrase. It was going to be this amazing thing called golden showers, not golden showers, golden showers. And they were going to generate showers every 30 seconds on a seed phrase we were going to have, but we're not doing that. We've got the seed phrase. So clearly, yes, you just want to write a seed phrase, and we'll do Roro Melb rules. Oh no, enter doesn't work. Anyway, so we've got this seed phrase, and you're going like, I want it on the internet. So it's in localhost, but it's not in the internet. Oh, next. Oh, do I get it? Technical difficulties. I can't get my next slide. Next, query. What? How do I get out of full? Am I looking at the screen that I'm sharing? No, really? What? What's all this stuff at the top? This is, I just want to press right arrow. Wow, look at that. We're just going to refresh. All right, hang on. I can just write 2, right? Oh my God, right. And in here, in my demonstration, I have Roro Melbourne rules, right? Because that's coming from this server running on localhost 3000, but you're seeing it at Metal Demo pair with me. So if I click on that and open it in a new tab, Metal Demo pair with me, production, it's running off the local host. How do you know that? Because if I jump back into the terminal here and kill the server, exiting, it's not running anymore. What are we going to get? Bad gateway. Ah, so yes, there's the answer to the talk. Yes, I can run a production website with a public URL and get a bad gateway. And if I go back in here and bin dev, fires it up in dev mode, whatever, it doesn't matter, and I refresh that, you get Roro Melbourne rules. That's in a database that's sharded on R. Okay, so yes, the answer is yes, I can. We go back to our presentation.
But should you?
Should you? Why do I have all of these things? This is rubbish, man. All right, there's a please clap here. Oh, if I can scroll down, but Reveal.js is just not working today. This is amazing. Wow, that's cool. Not cool. But why? Why would you want to? Actually, no, these slides, hang on. I did this talk at Roro Sydney. I had the worst slides in the world. And I thought, like, the one thing I can do is do better slides. No. Oh. Hang on. There's got to be a, oh yeah, it's the first one. This thing, right? So I kill that and slides Roro Melbourne. Clearly. All right. Boom. Yes. Next. Wow. And then it's crashed. This is amazing. It's so not cool. 3. But why? 4. There's only 30 slides. Okay, why would you want to do that? We have platform as a service, a whole bunch of them, right? I'm just going to scroll down. I have no idea. We have the cloud, right? Why would I want to do it on my local server when I can, if I really want to, put it in Cloud 66? AWS has an app runner on AWS Fargate. Supposedly that's the cool way. The kids are running Ruby. Yes, question?
Comment.
Comment.
Because it works on my machine.
Because it works. That's why. That's why. Why? Because clearly. Oh, wow. The slides are working. Because I can. Because Anton asked. Oh, it's not going to work with the image. What rubbish. Because I can. Because Anton asked. Oh, there you go. So somebody on Melbourne Meets, Anton, 4 months ago said, hey, keen to hear about these topics, self-hosting a Ruby app. And I was like, that can't be that hard. Clearly doing a presentation is harder. Because I want some DevOps skills, right? If I do this, then, DevOps. Oh, yeah, because I can't do presentations. Because that's the way the internet was like 1999, when literally every server that you were running at home was like on the internet. This is more like what the internet is right now. So this is Glenn Huntley or somebody who's doing the van life, and he's actually got 6 different kinds of internets just to get him connected so he can van life around Australia and be fully connected with satellite, with all the other mobile carriers. He's got an antenna for each one of them. That's the kind of stuff you could do. And now, right. Oh, because I wanted to create a threat map, right? Does anyone see those threat maps where countries get invaded and China's like attacking 5 times a day because they do a port scan? I wanted one of those, but when I went to my router, because it's cheaper, right? But when I went to my router with the threat map, I'm not getting any traffic at home. We'll find out why in a second. Because it's cheaper, and there's a whole thing about the cheaper bit. If what do I have to do? Okay, I have to scroll down every second slide. Why? Reclaim the Stack claims that they spent 7 months building a Kubernetes-based platform to replace Heroku. The results were 90% reduction in cost and 30% improvement in performance. So yeah, scale it on the PaaS, auto scale this, that, and the other, but it's expensive. Kamal, formerly Maersk, the guys behind Basecamp, leaving the cloud will save us $7 million over 5 years. So there's a bit of a drive at the moment with a bunch of companies who are like, you know what? Actually having our own little data center or hosting from home could save us a whole heap of money. DHH went as far as saying that somebody's joke about one of his Campfire things, saying, you know what? Campfire does actually run on a Raspberry Pi 5S. So a lot of these sites, you don't need a big server if you're just running for your company. Also, DHS says these days it's not too hard and not too scary to put a server, because there's a lot of really good tools out there to do DDoS protection, et cetera, et cetera. So not only are you getting a cost savings, but you potentially could do it, and you could learn all those DevOps skills. But more importantly, John Sherwood, Gleam.io, who's sponsoring today's drinks and food, just drinks, yeah. He actually said, well, he runs Gleam.io, which do competitions, and they needed real random numbers. So pseudo-random is not good enough. Computer-generated random is often not good enough. What they want is quantum random number generator. And services like that are pretty expensive online, but you can go and build your own. What does one look like? Well, basically, you get a laser, you fire it through something, you split the beam, and then you measure it up. I don't even know if this thing works, but somebody has put it together with an Arduino, so coming to you in March. So that's his thing. But then there is games by email. They run a real role-playing game kind of service. They created Dice-O-Matic. It's a 7-foot tall, 104-pound dice-eating monster capable of generating 1.3 million dice rolls, physical dice rolls a day. What does it look like? Well, it literally is that. Conveyor belt that picks up dice, rolls them, uses some very basic image recognition to work out what rolls they are. And it means the people at games by email know that the randomness was generated by a dice roll, okay? So if you've got that, that's not going in your AWS server. It's not a service provider Heroku. That is hosted from home, right? That's why we want to do it. So we've got a whole heap of good ideas of why you want to do it, because Anton said he wants it. You've got large data. Maybe you've got some fast machines that are just really expensive, but you've already got 3 good laptops at home or something else. Or maybe you have some other custom hardware. For example, this is the collective noun for phones, a Babel of cell phones, right? Maybe you're doing some screen scraping, wacky stuff, and you actually need a cell phone device to do that. So again, how do you do that? Well, it needs to happen from home. Does it need to be accessible? Well, depends. QRNG,
Under that.
as in the warning,
No, no.
under the warning.
Are you not looking at what we're looking at?
I'm saying that.
Yeah, in your RAS console.
Oh, you're saying, oh, so I can get hacked. Yeah. So this is cool, right? This is my threat map, and I'm not threat coming from there. That's why I left it there like that. Apart from not knowing how these slides work. But warning, be warned. This is from Darknet Diaries, a great podcast, episode 86. And actually the way that the LinkedIn data was stolen the first time around was they found the engineer on LinkedIn, worked out he works at LinkedIn, but he also had a role-playing game site that he happened to host from what looked like a home IP address. So the hackers started pinging his home IP address, worked out they could jump from that machine to his home work laptop and stole all the LinkedIn passwords, including mine. So be warned. Okay, so what's involved? Well, clearly, all I need is a public IP address, right? So if I go over here and a new thing, I hit what's my IP address? It's that one. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. I can't seem to zoom that in. The other way I can do that is in here, maybe make my IP. So there's a couple of commands you can run. This one I came across on the internet the other day. I just cut and paste it. It looks good. This gives me my IP address. Is there something else cool that's funny? I'm sure there is. And then this is also my internal address. So my machine says I've got a 172.20.10.2, but when I go outside and I fetch Google, it says your IP address is 49.185. So there's like, there's a different kind of IP address that I'm getting versus what's on the internet. So what's going on? Wow, is that a different set of, oh yeah, cool. I got the thing open, right. So I can get an IP, but I seem to have a number of IP addresses. And in my case, because I'm currently going off the phone or at home, I have a 5G router, I can't actually can't unblock a port on that public IP address I have because of CGNAT. I think there's an image next one. So what is CGNAT? It's a carrier grade network address translation, which basically means my home internet is behind a network on, in my case, my provider, Optus's internal networks before it gets a public IP address. So there's actually a bunch of people with the same public IP address as mine. And it also means I can't just go to that public IP address and say, hey, punch a wall through port 80 and hit my home server. No go. So I can't just do that the way we used to be able to do in 1999. So what can we do? Well, why don't we just escape it with EC2 with a public IP address? Right, so we do what is known as a reverse SSH tunnel, which is something like this. We SSH into the box, in this case using some credentials I have, and we reverse port 8080 from Amazon into my local 9292, which happens to be running something, and you put in your EC2 address, and you get something like this. So the internet can't get to my machine, but if through my machine I go to the internet, go to a server, an EC2 server, I can open up what is known as a tunnel, and through that tunnel, the rest of the internet can go to that server, and the server says, oh, just go back to Michael's laptop and start hammering him. So I can do something like that. Fortunately, AWS, one, I'd need to pay for an EC2 instance the whole time I want to run this. Two, I couldn't work out how to configure it. So I do have an EC2 instance running, but and in there you go in there and there's all these settings, and somewhere in here there was a setting where I've said, hey, let these ports through, but I couldn't get it working, and that's not the core part of this presentation. So let's move on. But you could theoretically do that if you can work out the magic of EC2, and you are happy to pay for the EC2 instance cost. So what I do, scroll down. Right. we've had that. Why not run it in EC2? Okay, and this is again why we'd want to do that. What about a Cloudflare tunnel? So another thing that came to my kind of in my research is what is known as a Cloudflare tunnel. So what do you have to do? You sign up to Cloudflare. Cloudflare is a provider of various services like DNS, like DDoS protection, like routing, like edge computing, etc. You sign up to Cloudflare. You go to their dashboard. You add a website. You host your DNS. And then you go to Zero Trust Networks tunnel, and you go and create a tunnel, any tunnel you want. In this case, I'm using my public Care With Me, which I own. I've added Metal Demo, which is what we're seeing here. And then I say the service, which is where it's going to find it locally on my machine. And once I've done that, then I run Cloudflare D, which I could run in Docker. Basically, something along these lines. On a Mac, brew install it, and run the service, install with a big ass key, which is my private key. And once I've got that, boom, that is what you just saw. You saw that demonstration of, what was it called? Rails Metal in Care With Me, or whatever it was. Okay, so just because that's the core bit, let's just retrace those steps. So this is the Cloudflare console. In this case, I have two tunnels. This is the Metal Demo one. This is the connector ID, which is presumably super private. So copy it whilst it's still there. I can then configure that in here. I can get this thing, which is the install instructions for a Mac. I can copy them. That's got that super private key. The cool thing is to refresh that token, I just press that button, right? And I think what's often the difficulty is people share a key and then it's like, it's really hard to change. Or accidentally gets published and somebody gets angry because somebody got an email or something like that. Not looking at anyone in particular. So then you do this, paste, ready, yeah, screen grab that. You run that, and anyone with that key, with Cloudflare D, will be able to host that. And in this case, it fails because it says, it's already installed. Why is it installed? Because we saw the demo running here. If I refresh that, this was, Roro Melbourne rules. That's that text that's running locally. So that is what allows you to escape CGNAT. Yes.
Is that like the mobile network?
Yeah, so CGNAT will be used for the mobile network. It will be used if you've got a 5G. So if you're running 5G at home, for all intents and purposes, it's an Android phone inside a box. But yes, if you have, yep. So if you have a proper, I don't know who's your provider, Telstra, then they will potentially give you an IP address that is public, at which stage you can do the old thing, which is punch through. In this case, though, this feels a little bit safer. I can turn on some of the safeguards of Cloudflare as well. So what's next? Well, one of the things I'd want to do is to actually be able to deploy this locally, because as soon as I kill that server, then the app doesn't run. I believe one of the ways to do that is launch D. So I should be able to write a script that basically says every time the machine starts up, this thing should launch and just run in the background. It's the way Slack, Spotify, all those things launch automatically in the background. Postgres, the database runs, etc. So I should be able to plug into that. I should probably switch it to Docker, right? That's what all the cool kids are on, rather than just running it on my bare metal. I should try this Kamal thing. I did. It requires Docker. So you can't. You try and run it, and it says no. And DHA says, why would you want to run it on any other hardware than Docker and Unix? Capistrano. That used to be the old way of deploying apps, but that requires SSH. Somebody claims it doesn't. Every time I've looked at it, it says you need a SSH into the machine. So I've actually running an SSH server locally, so I could run a Capistrano script and it SSHs into the machine it's running on and says, oh yeah, cool, I'm going to deploy this thing. I want to put it on a Raspberry Pi. Once I've done all this, wouldn't it be cool if I had one of these scripts like Kamal, because that's the promise of Kamal. It's agnostic of where you deploy it. I should be able to deploy it to the cloud. And then, once I've put it to the cloud, why not bring it back onto a proper cluster, right? Rather than just running on my machine. And I want to run on a Zimmer blade cluster. Anyone know what a Zimmer blade is? Let's have a look. Whoa, look at that. It's like a Raspberry Pi on steroids. So you can get these little Zimmer servers, and you can just get like a whole bunch of them. And what is it called? Horizontally scale. Right? Plus, it's cool to buy hardware, right? And then finally, when I've got to that, I can do my full talk that I'd like to do, which is Cloud Metal, where I show you how you deploy something locally on Metal with a script, run it in the cloud, and then bring it back onto a Metal on-prem cluster that I run, maybe undercut the competition, and we could have a number of people run these clusters, sync the data across, and we could have like our own sneaker net version of Heroku that you basically buy Anton and me dinner every once a year, and you get your hobby projects hosted on there for free. So there's the QR code. All the demos are live, free, accessible. Feel free to join me in making some of those other things happen. I'm still keen to work out why my EC2 reverse routing doesn't work. I'm kind of keen to get something like Kamal running, so I could be deploying it here and then press a button and deploy it up to the cloud, and press a button and deploy it onto a home server. That's the dream. And in the meantime, learn a whole heap about networking and deployment. That's me. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments, abuse? Anyone want to get me a beer? Yes, gentleman in the red shirt down the back.
It has a new feature where you can actually expose things selectively. Expose things publicly too.
Tailscale. All right, I'll put that on the list.
Zero tier as well, good alternative.
Zero
Zero tier.
tier.
Zero tier is open source. They'll scale open source.
Okay.
Zero tier doesn't require the email. They'll scale with Gmail or GitHub. So if you don't use Gmail or GitHub, they'll apply. Zero tier.
Landgate, the zero tier.
It's fantastic. I used it for 2 years. Super reliable. Nothing gets disconnected.
Well, why did you ask me about this?
Because it's not publicly exposed. Yeah, just local network. And I think a lot of people say this is the future of network. You want your private network, just install this command line, zero tier connect, or you can just connect it, drag and drop files.
Question at the back. Ngrok's another one. Yep. Yeah, I mean, the key for me is I go do conference talks, and often me and my co-presenter build an app, and then we put it on Heroku, and then we forget to descale it, and then 2 months later it's like, oh, $30 gone, like that, right? Whereas theoretically, I could actually at that point just be running it locally on a local machine, because I got 100 people that may want to interact with an app for an hour or something. Like, I'm almost better off doing that, assuming that this works or any one of these other tools work reliably. Maybe not the presentation machine. I don't know why Reveal.js. I spent a lot of time trying to give you guys the Reveal.js experience. There was a question somewhere in the middle. Comment. Somebody wanted to contribute to my software. Yes, question. Yeah.
Would you use Cloudflare tunneling in development? Like, you know, when you want to set up probably.
Well, you know where I would use it, and this is a classic problem, if you've got webhooks, right? So you use a service and they say, hey, where can I send the webhook to, or the OAuth 2 token to, and you need a public server. This would be actually a lightning fast solution if you've got it somewhat set up, because right now I could point any service at my Metal, whatever it was called, demo, and I would just be getting requests in there. I could build up a really simple app just that could manually get them. So potentially, I mean, the vision here is I actually want to do some foaming. Anyone know what foaming is? Foaming is people who love trains, right? And I've got a train that runs down the back of my property. I want to put a camera up in a tree and have a server that every time a train goes by, it takes a picture or a video and puts it up on the internet. You could go and see cliftonhillfoamers.com and see the train go by and go, woo, yeah. So, you know, we're solving the important problems in the world here.
For that webhook example, we had a webhook.io.
There are a bunch of webhook things. So yes, if you are in general having that problem, then I'd probably recommend any one of the other options. Sorry. We don't have time. This is the Sydney slides, right? I'm using slides, which just takes Markdown, but look, it freaking works, man. Right, but then I had this thing where I couldn't put images in there because slides doesn't support inline images. But I can't believe Reveal just froze on me. Kamal. Oh, I don't know. I'll probably just write it into ChatGPT and see what Chad has to say. All right, no more questions. I'm gonna finish. Oh, hang on, there's a chat question. No question. Just you're muted. Oh, well, that sucks.
In Cloudflare, can you also kind of connect it to HTTPS?
So in this case, actually, the way I've got Cloudflare set up is it will take an endpoint, it will add the HTTPS, and I'm running my server HTTP. And because the connection from my daemon over to Cloudflare is secure, then theoretically, then it's all good, right? So I'm just running a normal HTTP server locally, but everyone publicly accessing it has HTTPS. If you are checking, it's not mandated right now. So you've got the option of going direct HTTP versus HTTPS. Correct. But you know, this is sneaking out. Come on, hack. Oh yeah. Can you guys set up Kamal so we can hack your thing?
I was trying to send you claps, but the clap emoji didn't show up.
Oh, what rubbish. Yes, question here.
Are you concerned at all about the security impact of exposing some service that you're running on your website?
Absolutely. That's why I had the warning. And then one last thing to answer your question about reverse SSH tunnels. I used to work at a company called Redbubble, and we did a move between Engine Yard's metal servers, actually in-rack servers, into the Engine Yard cloud. And we decided the only way we could do this, we couldn't do it piecemeal, we had to move everything across. So we moved everything across, and right at the last moment, we realized that our image manipulation libraries were out of sync. Were a wrong version and compiled wrong in the cloud servers. So rather than getting images, you were getting black, or you're getting black backgrounds on things that should have been transparent. And they said, that's a showstopper, we need to revert. But we had already turned the traffic on at this point, and we said, right, to revert the databases and change our read-write replica is going to take us between 6 and 24 hours, which basically means we would have to go offline for 6 to 24 hours before our database updates, or potentially lose 30 minutes worth of orders, etc. And then somebody said, what about an SSH, reverse SSH tunnel? And we're like, no, come on. And yeah, we did that. We said the only thing that needed to stay in the cloud was the database, and everything else we could flip back. As long as everything else used the database in the cloud, we wouldn't have to flip that back. And we put in an SSH tunnel from the metal over to the cloud. We were doing, I don't know, something like $2 million a day of sales. So it's not a small site. And we had the reverse SSH tunnel going for a good 3 weeks without any issue. Which suggests to you that some of this technology actually just works. Like if you just got to get a database connection across the network, and if it's an encrypted SSH thing, but it's all local, it can be lightning fast. And what the realization I got at that point was we could have actually done all of this piecemeal, right? Because we thought we needed our search servers, database servers, cache servers, image servers, web servers, all translated across, because there was no one who worked out a way of doing one bit at a time. but this just proved that we could have moved a search server across, reverse SSH, flipped it back and forward if needed, etc. So reverse SSH is actually quite a robust solution. Thank you.